Yeah, well, I don't know. I probably won't do my usual blathering on morbid stories, trying to be amusing thing today. I just have something fairly significant to report as far as the whole benzo situation, which is really, you know, why most people are tuning in here anyway. I don't have any illusions about my personal magnetism and or charisma. Having being 51 years of age and understanding the effect that my general demeanor and personality has on people, uh, I'm just surprised that the I get as many views as I do, and I get as few negatives as I do. I assume those are the people that are immediately click off of like who the hell wants to look at some sickly shirtless dude in bed. But I, of course, find myself infinitely fascinating, as I'm sure every other person in the world does. So, um, and having spent so much time alone, um, this is a very bad reference to use, perhaps, but in the Thomas Harris book, Silence of the Lambs, they referred to Hannibal Lecter's mind as being a mansion with many rooms in it. So that's kind of like how I think of it. I from spending so much time alone and having been through so many horrible things and been having exposed to so many horrible things that I have had to create a mental mansion with many rooms in which to spend time, which makes me, in my own eyes, uh, capable of at least being unusual, if not entertaining. Anyways, here's the deal. The last time I took, well, let me do it a different way. The last time I spoke to all of my loyal, constant readers, is what Stephen King would call them. I was going to the doctor, and I had 102 fever, 102.4 fever at the time. I guess either 104 or 105 is when it starts to get dangerous. So 102.4 fever, I guess, is a little high for a cold. That's what my doctor told me. Anyways, I had a fever, and I went in, and they. I thought that you were going to just do a throat culture, which is no big deal, but this bitch stuffed a swab up my nose, and then was like, "Here's two Tylenol," meaning to try to bring down my fever. And I said, "Are you sure the Tylenol isn't for what you just did to my nose?" And she laughed, but I was serious. Like that shit hurt, man. She said, "Well, I didn't get it the first time because I have good sinuses. That's like the few things that I have is good sinuses, excellent taste in hats." But so man, she like stuck that thing up, and I think she got some gray matter too to go along with it. And so they tested me out, and they said, "Well, you look like you have the flu. You sound like you have the flu. But the tests come back negative for flus. But we're going to give you 5 days supply of Tamiflu anyway." So I'm. This is on the second. The fourth is the only doctor's appointment I've looked forward to like in ever, which was the one for my knee. But I was so fucked up on the fourth, and my fever was so out of control on the fourth that I got a call at about 9 o'clock in the morning saying your ride is here, and I'm like, my ride for what? And then it clicked in like, oh, that was for my doctor's appointment. I was like, I rescheduled my doctor's appointment for my leg, but I didn't have enough, sanity for my feverish brain to actually cancel my transportation. I was like, I'm sorry. I was like, I'm not going nowhere. I said, yeah, I'm not going anywhere. So, um, I lost my train of thought. And the reason why I lost my train of thought is good. It's like the last time that I took XANAX was 7:30 in the morning on the 4th. It is now the 8th. So I haven't taken any XANAX for 109 hours. And my brain's a little foggy, and my hat, because of me being in bed, keeps falling over my eyes. Um, and plus, I have a gigantic melon because I have a mansion inside my head after all. Of course, I have to have a gigantic head. So it's kind of hard to get hats that will fit properly. And I don't know what my hat size is, but it's like a Barry Bonds hat size, like in 2003. If you follow baseball, you got that one. Uh, that's how they knew he was using human growth hormone. Is like nobody's head grows after you're 30 years old. Your hat size doesn't grow. you know, I remember watching a baseball game, and a guy held up a sign. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen at a baseball game. And he's Barry Bonds plays outfield, and the guy's like, "Down in front, Barry, I can't see over your head," like he was in a movie theater. Because it got around that he was taking human growth hormone, which actually made his hat size grow like a size and a half or two sizes, which is ridiculous. I don't really know hat sizes. I know I used to have a hat that was 7 and 5/8, and it was tight. That's all I know. I know that I lost the hat because I was going down Mile Hill about 50 miles an hour on a bicycle, and it blew off my head. And I didn't give a fuck what happened to that hat. I was just worried about hitting the asphalt going 50 miles an hour. But anyways, digressing, which I give myself permission for. That's did I say 108 hours? Well, the last time I took XANAX was on the 4th at 7:30 a.m., which I have documented. And during the time that I had the flu, I did updose as far as the amount of volume that I was taking. I didn't take the 50 milligrams that they wanted me to, but I had like 2 or 3 days in there where I took 40, and then I had a couple of days where I took 30 milligrams of volume. But I had the flu type B, so all I wanted to do was sleep. I didn't want nothing else. I had like a headache for like days that would not go away. It was like 3 days worth of a headache, and I just wanted to be asleep. I was taking aspirin and ibuprofen, and aspirin was like all I had in the house, and nothing was killing this headache, this flu-induced headache. But yeah, I think that's important that I should report that is that this is by far the farthest I've gone without taking XANAX for 3 years, and I have no desire to take it. And today, since I feel better, I feel like I'm over the flu. I still feel kind of weak from it. Um, I took 5 milligrams of volume, and my brain is foggy, and I'm having some cognition issues. I don't know if it's, because this is the first time I've gone over 100 hours without XANAX for 3 years. And like I said, Valium works better for some people than other people. For me, it's not really a substitute. It just eases the symptoms, and it helps me stretch out my doses. But now I'm thinking, like, do I want to updose on the Valium and just never take any XANAX ever again? And I don't want to take any XANAX ever again. So, I am not an addict. I'm not a XANAX addict. I hate the fucking shit. Valium makes me like sleepy. I'm not real fond of it either. But if you try to quit taking Xanax without having a lesser benzodiazepam, I am even less of a fan of that. It's dangerous. You don't do that. It's dangerous, and if you're of a certain mindset, it can make you suicidal, and people have killed themselves over it because you get that suicidal ideation stuff going on. You can get, if you're taking higher doses or you're just real sensitive to it, you get seizures. You know, it can kill you. You can get seizures, vertical, vertical. I can get a vertical. I can like jump. That would be awesome. I'm working on walking. You can get vertigo. You get all these horrible, horrible symptoms. So, Valium knocks most of that out for me, except for this fucking brain fog feeling that I got, where like it makes me even goofier than usual. But yeah, I this is already 10 minutes, and if you're familiar with me, you know that I'm not gonna just pop on here and say, "Hey, I haven't taken Xanax for over 100 hours. How about that? High five." I'm not just gonna do that. I feel compelled to try to be entertaining in some manner or form, or to try to say something interesting, or even just to help other people that are dealing with benzo issues kill a little time, because that's a valuable thing. As far as like the last couple videos I made where I was telling my morbid history, um, I don't know how helpful that is to people. Um, there's plenty more where that came from, if that's your thing, though. Plenty more where that came from. Yeah, I know the person that invented the drive-by shooting. I got my Al Capone type hat on. But I'm talking about like, yeah, I know somebody that, at least I can't really say they invented the drive-by shooting, but yeah, that's not completely accurate. That was just I found that turn of phrase funny. So yeah, I also bought this hat that says I don't know if you can read it or not, but it says "Bad Hair Day" on it. I've been being very like stupid with my money and just buying things that amuse me, but I have a hat that says "Bad Hair Day" on it. Because every day is a bad hair day for me, and my hat keeps popping off of my head because my head is too big. Uh, but yeah, I'm in a pretty good mood because I'm over the flu that took a full 5 days, like it usually does, and that stuff's like miraculous, that Tamiflu stuff. Because the flu, even type B flu, that's not there's type A, there's type B, and there's type C, and the type A is the type that'll kill you. I think it has more, it's more work as far as moving to the bathroom area and taking care of things. I mean, I don't do nothing when I have type B except for have a splitting headache, and every part of you hurts, and you're feverish, and you forget to cancel rides that you should definitely cancel because you're not using them anymore. And today I was trying to take apart. I got a walker off of somebody because I keep falling with a cane. And somebody asked me, "Is like, is that because of dizziness? Is because of the volume?" And I said, "No, I don't think it's because of the dizziness. I think it's just because my leg's that bad that I'm falling." But I fell like twice yesterday. And I was holding a 2 liter of Pepsi when I fell. That was open and like full. So that wasn't cool. I just ate a bunch of pizza because I felt so good to see the Chargers beat the Ravens that I was like, man, I celebrated at halftime by buying a pizza and eating half of it because I was really hungry anyway. So I ate the rest of it the next day, and I was like, oh, I forgot I got that soda in there. So I went and I opened up the soda, and I just fell. It was actually kind of painful. But I didn't do no injury, I don't think, to myself. But it was just a painful fall. But then, I spilled the soda everywhere, and I was all over me. It was all over the floor. It went under the refrigerator, and I had to try to figure out how to figure out how to get up and not slip and fall in the soda again. Then I called up my landlord, and I was like, "Yeah, man, I'm still kind of like fluish. So yeah, I'm gonna give you my bank card and my number, and you can get the money for yourself. And if you wouldn't mind, you help me take out the garbage because I already fell twice today. No, I didn't say that at the time. I said I already fell today, and I don't. I said I don't want to be carrying out garbage and falling. And then while I was getting the garbage together for him, I fell the second time while I was getting the garbage together. But I had like 5 garbage bags and a whole bunch of other shit that needed thrown out that I got thrown out yesterday. Um, but the main gist of the whole thing is I'm thinking about, it's early. I'm not supposed to do it this early. I need to stretch this hat to fit over my melon somehow. I'm not sure how to do that, but it doesn't seem to work, you know. Um, I like the hat though. But I, you're not supposed to like do it that quick. It's only been a month. You're not supposed to just switch from, that's not how the Ashton method works, but I don't want to take any more XANAX. And yeah, I don't want to take any more volume either, but I have plenty of it, and I'll just keep weaning myself off of that too. Then one day I'll be on here and I will tell you I'm benzo free, and that day may come sooner than even I think, because I don't feel bad right now. I mean, it's 108 hours since my last dose of XANAX, and I don't feel that bad. I feel hoarse because I would just had like a marathon phone conversation with somebody. I always seem to be talking. The people that I talk to, they like to talk a long time, even longer than me, if you can believe that. And yeah, so I still have a refill. I counted my volume that I have left after a month, and I gave some of them away, which I know you're not supposed to do that, but I gave some of them away to. Uh, I have 45 10 milligram volume left, and I have a script for 120 that I could fill today if I wanted to. So I'm not taking as much volume as I'm supposed to be taking, according to the guy who prescribed it to me. But my deal, and he kind of agreed with me, is like, why do I want to take more than I need to of this other benzo and then have to just wean off of that one too? So, but yeah, once I'm going to think optimistically, and I'm going to say once they fix my leg and I can walk and move around, and I can get some natural fatigue going on, get those natural endorphins rolling in my brain and shit, I can foresee myself in 6 months, this year just being a bad memory, a very bad memory. Um, I can't say it hasn't been an interesting year. I'm not going to do it now, but on another video, I will just, like, in the most succinct fashion possible, and believe me, I am capable of being succinct. It just runs against my nature. I will recite the events of the year of our Lord 2018, just how crazy the whole thing has been. And yeah, it has been an interesting year, to say the least. My aunt, that's been sick and dying, and then not sick and dying, it's been the whole emotional roller coaster. It's like I said, that's one of the main people I count on and that I trust in this city, that she almost died twice already. she was in the ICU, and then they moved her to the cardiac care unit, and now she's back in the nursing home. And the whole thing of it is like if they get her healthy enough, she still has to have like open heart surgery. So it's really like it's it's a weird type of thing. It's like mustering hope for that whole situation. You're hoping she gets better enough to have open heart surgery. It's like if that was me in that situation, I would be like, yeah, give me the 9 millimeter aspirin. I'm done. You know, I give me like the yeah. I don't want. It's like I've lived long enough. I feel like that a lot of times now. Like I've lived long enough, but I'm such a cheerful bastard. Like if I'm not suffering too badly, that and I enjoy life. Um, and I don't enjoy life so much as I enjoy myself. I enjoy being me. As whether that sounds narcissistic or not, I don't care. But the main person that you have to live with is yourself, and you better get along with yourself because that's who that's the person you can't run away from. Joe Louis said you can run, but you can't hide. You can't even run from yourself, let alone you can hide things from yourself and lie to yourself, but you can't run from yourself. You're always there. So I get along with myself, and I enjoy. Um, yeah, I think it's important to love yourself and to like yourself, and there's a difference between that and true narcissism, where you think the whole world revolves around you. You know, it's like I always say in these videos, I'm surprised at the amount of people that actually do watch my videos. If I was a narcissist, I would be like, why isn't everybody watching my videos? Or I would be like, why don't I have more likes? Or, it's like, no, I don't care about all that, you know. But, you know, I don't really listen to people's opinions of myself uh, that closely, and that annoys people. So, um, yeah, whatever. At the end of the day, even even if there was somebody in this bed lying beside me, besides a Blue Yeti microphone, it would still be me here. So, at the end of the day, man, you gotta get along with yourself. Even with the CRPS and the fun childhood I had and all that, I just, as long as people ain't messing with me too much and bother me too much, I enjoy life. I really honestly do. And it's just like, it's just something I got from my mother, because my mother had absolutely no reason to be an optimistic person, but she was always an optimistic person until, well, I don't even want to go into all that. That's bad family history stuff. But even until she was into her 60s, she was always like a optimistic things will get better type of person. And I think I kind of inherited that attitude from her, which is lucky for me, or I wouldn't be here. And it's kind of funny because I have like, I can't name names, but I have a close familia uh, family member. I was going to say familial relation, but too many hours with no XANAX, not good to be fancy with the speech. So I have a family member that's like the opposite of me. Like I am the glass half full guy. He is the glass half empty, broken on the floor. You're going to get glass in your foot type of guy. So, he can like think of all kind of horrible things that can happen. And I'm a living example of horrible things that can happen to a person. So maybe that's it. Like I don't, you know, it's like I don't think about that stuff all the time. People react differently to different situations, but like I've had so many freaking problems ever since I was young, and like ever since I can remember, really. Um, yeah, that it just it just a lot of people that would like make them just nervous about the next time horrible thing that's gonna happen with me. It's like, okay, whatever. Like I was talking about making that joke about when I got cardioverted on December 5th, and I made that joke about the guy's phone rang right before I passed out, and I'm like, yeah, is that my call from the governor? And then I passed out, you know, and there was a pretty good chance that uh, I could have got a stroke, or you're talking about getting your heart shocked and getting that valve working in there. If you got a blood clot in there, then you get a stroke, and it can kill you, which the guy explained to me. He said, are you sure you don't want to be staying in the hospital and get put on blood thinners? Because, you get a blood clot, and then we zap your heart like that and get it working, and that blood clot travels through your system. You could have a stroke and you could die. And I'm like, I'm sure. Just shock me and get me the hell out of here. So, um, yeah, that's not even like gallows humor. I don't even know what you would call that. That's like not giving a fuck. Like people always say that shit, like like I ain't afraid to die and stuff like that. Or it's like, nah, man, I'm really not afraid to die. I'm afraid of pain like anybody else. Like, uh, but I had a, I'm, I'm a storyteller. I guess that's what I do. And I had a gun put to my head when I was a kid, and this guy was going to try to steal my fishing rod. We used to fish. I don't know if I probably didn't tell you this story before, but we used to fish in this slummy, shitty area. And I referred to it in this other video because I have a pretty good memory about the things I say, as a slummy, shitty area with slummy, shitty kids in it. And all the kids in that area had guns, man, and they would always go back there shooting. And I remember this guy specifically. He used to come back there, and they used to have like a 22 that looked like an M16, but it was a 22. It's like a semi-automatic 22. But he didn't have that gun that day. He just had like I think it was a 25, so it might not have even killed me. But he put it to my head, and this is a kid like, I don't know how old this kid was, like anywhere from 14 to 18 years old. And he was like, give me your fishing rod. I was like, I'm not giving you my fishing rod. And he said, give me your fishing rod. And I said, you ain't gonna shoot me, and I ain't giving you my fishing rod. And I just called his bluff, because at the time, being very poor, that was my entertainment system, man. I didn't have no Nintendo or nothing like that, man. I went fishing. That was what I did, and it was like, you know, I was like, man, fuck you and your gun and your little fucking pussy girly gun, because it was like a 25, and it could still kill you if he shoots you in the right part of the head. And but anyways, I'm not sure what that had to do with anything, but I always feel obligated to at least tell you one morbid story while I'm on here. There's a funny story that's involving the exact same spot, though, where we had like a board. It wasn't really a board, it was a log and then a stump. If you can imagine a teeter-totter, okay? Imagine a teeter-totter. Um, you got two guys on a teeter-totter. It's cool because one guy can sit on one end of the teeter-totter and the other guy can sit on the other end of the teeter-totter. And everything works out okay. You just warn the other guy when you're going to get up, and then he gets up and the ground's all mucky and nasty because it's just a mucky, nasty place to fish. And this guy comes there and he gets stung by some kind of wasp or something like that, and he's allergic to bees, and he's got like a big old welt on him and shit. And we're like, why don't you just go home and get that taken care of? And he goes, no, I'll be all right. And he horns in and he sits like on one side of the teeter-totter. I'm sitting in the middle over top of the stump, and my older brother is sitting on the other side of the teeter-totter. So my brother was doing it on purpose. He kept getting up, and the guy that got stung by the bee with the welt on him, and it was a big old fucking red patch welt that he showed us. It didn't look normal to me, but maybe he's doing it for his own good. But I think he was just doing it because it was funny, and he was a little bit mean. But he would just get up and dump the guy on his ass, right? Because it's a teeter totter, and I'm sitting on the side with the stump in the middle, and my brother's on one side, and the other guy's on the other side. And so he would get up, and the guy's weight would just carry him down on the ground, and he would just hit the ground in a heap and all his mud and shit. And he dumped him about 3 times until we got rid of the guy. And I don't remember what I asked my brother about that, if he did that on purpose to get rid of him or whatever. But I knew he was doing it on purpose, because when I was the guy that was sitting on that other side of the teeter totter, he would be like, I'm going to get up and get something. And then I'm like, okay. And then I'd get up too. And then we would like reposition the board or whatever it was, board or log or whatever it was we were sitting on, back over top of that stump, and then get that whole teeter totter thing going again. So yeah, that was funny. He dumped that guy on his ass in the mud at least 3 times, and the guy was like, man, fuck. He's like, fuck. Why don't you warn somebody before you get up? And my older brother, be like, oh man, I'm sorry, I just didn't think about it. Oh, that shit was funny. So yeah, we made our own fun back in the day, man. Yeah, we made our own fun. Now we didn't do that shit that I talked about, that my cousins did, where they made their own fun, where they would just attack a beehive with a tennis racket, and just they almost killed. I don't know if I told that story or not, but they almost killed uh, their brother because this is so fucking stupid. They bet him that he wouldn't go outside and naked and knock over a hornet's nest, and then they locked him outside the trailer and let him get stung by hornets. And he had to go to the emergency room, and he almost died from it. There's practical jokes, and then there's attempted murder. That's closer to attempted murder to me. But yeah, they were yeah, I bet you won't go outside naked. He's like, you're so brave. I bet you won't go outside naked and go tip over that hornet's nest that's hanging underneath the outside of the trailer out there and knock it off. And he's like, yeah, I'll do that. So, he did it, assuming that they would let him back in the trailer, and they didn't. So he got, I don't know how many hornet stings, but he had to go to the emergency room, and they had to, like, more or less save his life. And, yeah. But they did shit like that, man. Those guys were off the chain, man. They would have, like, BB gun fights, where they would be shooting each other with actual 22 caliber BB guns, and be like, instead of like playing army and saying bang bang pow pow at each other, they would actually be shooting each other. Yeah, there's some other things I could tell about them, but I don't feel comfortable. There was an interesting perspective that my cousin, I talk to him all the time. I just talked to him on Sunday, but he gave me an interesting perspective on his childhood, and I was like, look, dude, I understand that you had it way worse than I did. I was like, you had it way, way worse than I did, you know. But, anyways, yeah, I do enjoy my storytelling time and all that. But uh, I just thought it was important because I broke the 100-hour mark, to tell you that I broke the 100-hour mark on XANAX for the first time in 3 years. And I don't feel no particular ill effects over it. I feel more ill effects over my throat being sore from talking to somebody on the phone for like 2 hours before I decided to do this video, which I was deciding to do this video before he called. And I don't know, you can tell me if there's a difference in the microphone quality, or, it sounds different to me when I use this microphone. Not sure about how to get it set up, and I haven't been still not sleeping good, and I of course had the flu, and so I haven't worked on my audiobook project that I'm excited about. Um, I should show you the stack of books that I got that, like, I was like, man, I'm going to read all these books. And then I realized that, yeah, this is really hard to do. Why is this so hard to do? Maybe I'm too much of a perfectionist. Because I listened to like this, you can find these on YouTube. They're, it's spelled with a B. It's like LibriVox recordings. And they just get volunteers to read books. And it's for free. And it can be anybody reading the books. So a lot of them are just not listenable because they're terrible at it. I'm actually better than a lot of those people. And, just because of the quality of my voice is not that annoying, at least not to me. Um, and there's people on there that actually make mistakes and leave the mistakes in. Like, they'll like screw up a sentence and then go back and repeat the sentence. It's like, I would never do anything like that. I would have to do another take. But I sometimes I will like pronounce a word in a screwed up word, screwed up word, in a screwed up way. Like the other day, I think I was saying instructor, and when I wanted to say, no, I was trying to say instructor, but it came out like instructor. It just come out stupid, and I could hear it, and I was like, man, fuck that, and I just scrapped that. Maybe I should just, if I want to get anything done at all, I should just stop being a perfectionist and just work within my limitations. I will redo the Iceberg Hermit with, which took a lot of work, but I will redo it with um, the Blue Yeti microphone, because the sound quality on it's pretty poor. Um, and that's a book that's actually out of print. So if you don't hear me read it, or if you don't find a copy of it and go out and buy it, you're not going to find that thing all that easily. And one fella on here told me like that I did okay reading it, but it was kind of boring. And I was like, well, okay, well, that's like I can't account for the author, but yeah, if I did okay on that, maybe, as bad as that sounded, maybe if I got a good microphone, I could read books, and then people could actually enjoy listening to them, because I like doing things for other people. And I especially like trying to be entertaining. I think I'm um, like, I think that's like part of my character, is that I want to be entertaining, but I was like a shy, like introverted kid. I don't know, because my dad would kill people and stuff like that. It kind of has that effect on some kids. Um, but I think like I like to be, I like it and I don't like it. I like to be like, I like attention, and I like to command a room, and to be the guy making the funny guy, or the guy like keeping the conversation moving and stuff like that. I like that kind of shit. And at the same time, I'm not comfortable with it. It's kind of an odd mix, you know. Um, well, I like to tell jokes, and um, I like to entertain, or to try to be entertaining. Um, I should definitely qualify that, like, with try to be entertaining, um, because because of my life and the way it's been. It's like I've had so much time just trying to entertain myself, The problem is the things that entertain me or that I find amusing may not be amusing to other people. In fact, they may be horrifying. Like I'll repeat it once more. Is like when I was telling a story about a guy beating the shit out of me and trying to kill me, which I found to be just an interesting story, was actually horrifying these people. And I'm like, well, it happened like freaking 30 years ago. I'm here talking to you. I mean, you can't see the scars on the inside of my face the guy put on me because he put a bunch of scar tissue on the inside of my face from where he was kicking me with the boots. And but he didn't do any visible damage. He didn't mess my face up too bad. And I can't speak for what he did to my brain as far as kicking me in the head. I know I went into like they got that CTA, concussion trauma syndrome. Maybe it's CTS nowadays that they figured out. You know, my brother actually speculated on that before he even knew what that was because I was like going into a depression and stuff after that guy kicked me in the head. I don't know how many times with boots, and he's like, maybe you're being like this maybe because that guy was kicking you, and I'm like, or maybe my life just sucks. I wasn't like buying any of it. I could always take punches to the face and the head. I hated getting hit in the stomach, man. But I could always take it. I could take a punch to the face real good. Uh, the guy that day though, the guy that tried to kill me, he didn't give me no chance at all. He outweighed me by about 50 pounds because I was 15 years old and weighed 135 pounds, and he was a couple grades older than me, and I weighed 135 and he weighed about 185, and he always wore fatigues and combat boots. So I pissed him off like, I don't know, a week before that. Actually, all I did was like, I had a peer pressure thing going on where these guys were making fun of him because he was like an outcast, like miserable dude, didn't have no friends, and was standing up against the wall and stuff like that. So they were just like, because he was in like army fatigues and stuff, they were just being jackasses and going around and saluting him and calling him, how you doing there, Sarge? Is your mission today to hold up that wall? And this was at lunchtime. And he was just standing there being miserable and like, he's one of them outcast kids. And he was from another school too. What nobody realized is the reason why he was going to that Catholic school is he nearly killed a couple people in other schools, and he got kicked out of a couple other schools for what he eventually did to me. And a Catholic school, sorry Catholics and people who like Catholics, but you pay that money, they don't really give a damn. They like that tuition. Um, to digress a little bit, to pay for my tuition there, I was doing some very, very dangerous labor in which I injured myself pretty badly, and I was poorly supervised at the age of 15 for the privilege of going to this Catholic school to raise tuition to go there. But anyways, this kid had already been kicked out of school, other schools for this kind of stuff that happened to me. But I was just going along with these guys, and I was like doing a goose step, like the German goose step in front of him, and that's about it. But I somehow he picked me out as the ringleader of the group, and he decided that if he taught me a lesson, that everybody else would leave him alone, not understanding that I was only bothered him the one time, and that the other guys, they came back and bothered him more. But maybe he just didn't like me, or he just thought I was too damn pretty and wanted to change that. But I'm sitting there in the hallway in the cafeteria, minding my own business, standing around. I'm talking to this kid, and the kid's first name is Sean. All of a sudden, his eyes get like this. And he stops talking. And I turn around to look to see what he's looking at, and all I see is a fist about the size of a canned ham. Sorry for the cliche. It just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I knew how to fight. My brother had taught me that. I raised my hands up, but there was no time. I got my hands up to about my chest, and then I got clocked. I got hit so hard by this guy that the people that saw it, I went unconscious, man. I didn't see nothing but, oh, I don't know. I saw Halley's Comet. I saw the whole Andromeda galaxy. I didn't see nothing but stars, man. But the people that saw it said that he hit me so hard that I flew backwards into the wall and then slid down the wall. But that wasn't enough for him. He got on top of me and started punching me in the face while I was unconscious. And then there was a teacher there and a football player. People were just watching it because kids are like sadistic assholes. They were just, that's just entertainment to them. Um, so the guy that was my friend, whose eyes got real big, he's just a little dude. He's trying to pull this 185-pound monster off of me, and the guy just elbows him into another county. It was like just throwing off a fly. But this algebra teacher guy was there, and he'd seen a football player, and he's like, man, he's like, get over here, and yelled, and they each grabbed him by an arm, and they started pulling him off of me. But the guy was so gone and crazy and in such a rage, he had them freaking boots on, that they were having trouble pulling him up. Two guys were having trouble pulling him off of me, and so he just starts kicking me in the head, and I had regained consciousness at that point. And I just remember getting kicked, and it just boom, bang, boom, bang. Head just going this way and that, getting kicked. And I got up, and everybody was all looking at me and staring at me. And I was walking through the hall, and they were asking me questions and stuff. And I didn't realize what I looked like, but most of the damage was internal on my face. But the blood had poured out of my mouth to the point where I was wearing a shirt and it looked like I had a red bib on. I remember this one girl's like, what did you do? And I'm like, I don't know. I was like, I don't know. I was just standing there. I don't know what I did, and I really didn't at that time. And then I went into the vice principal's office, and he hated my guts, and he was like, well, Mr. So and so, looks like you bit off more than you could chew this time. Meanwhile, like, I just got kicked in the head about 14 times, and was like beat into unconsciousness, and I got like lacerations all on the inside of my face, and like my nose is all swollen. I got lumps all over my head from being kicked and shit. And this guy is such a sadist, and I will tell you his name is uh, Mr. Leahy. I will tell you that guy's name, because fuck him. He enjoyed that shit. He sided with that kid. Yeah, and I was like, how you gonna? y- That is not an equal retribution for somebody teasing you, trying to murder them, because that guy would have murdered me if nobody was there to pull him off of me. He would not have stopped. I have never seen a look in anybody's eye like I saw in that dude's eye, except for my dad. Except for my dad. That is, yeah, that it was just a straight up murderous, insane look in that guy's eye. He wasn't stopping until he got tired. And I was an old man at 15 years old. I was 15 years old when that happened. So I hadn't, I came to puberty late, so I only weighed 135. Meanwhile, puberty hit him like a sledgehammer, because he had like stubble and shit, and he was 185 pounds. But the main thing is them combat boots, man. I'll never forget them boots. That punch was bad enough, because that one punch, man, and I was out, gone. All I remember is seeing every star in the heavens, and that is the last thing I remember before waking up and seeing that friend of mine trying to pull him off of me, and then just getting swatted away like a fly, and then those people pulling him off of me. or two people, a football player and this other guy that was a teacher pulling him off of me, and then him kicking me in the head. You know, the first thing I remember is, you know, just feeling the impact of getting hit. You know, this is probably only interesting to people that have never been like really beat up before, like really beat up. But I didn't feel nothing, you know, except for like I just felt blows. You know, that's what I woke up to, is like my head going this way and my head going that way, and it's like, I don't, what's happening here. And then I opened my eyes and I saw my friend try and help me out, who yeah, he was smaller than me and a lot, you know, not, and a lot less tough, but he gave it a try. God bless him. And yeah, they pulled him off me, or I'm in the hospital at minimum. You know, I had a concussion for sure. Um, they should have. I didn't go to emergency. Things were different back then, man. I didn't go to emergency room except for to uh, no, I didn't go to the emergency room at all. Come to think of it, no, I went to the nurses station and they had a look at me, and then they just sent me home after the vice principal got done making fun of me. I remember looking at myself in the mirror like I just looked like a train had just hit me, and then like feeling my head and feeling all the bumps all over my head, and then like my nose was swelled up, and he mainly hit me in the face, so, and I had that whole bib of blood thing going on and everything, and yeah, I never did like school very much, even before that happened. I liked it a lot less after that. And then I had to go to school with that kid, knowing that kid, you know, was a murderer. You know, because I had been familiar with people that killed people before, and I was like, this guy will kill your ass. And I had an odd, proud moment where a senior football player came up to me and he said, "Dude, why do you want to mess with that? Why did you even mess with that guy?" He's like, "That guy would kill me." You know, and this guy weighed like 190 or something like that. He was like a, I don't know, he back in the day people was smaller, so he was probably played like a offensive lineman or something like that. But I remember that senior coming up to me, that made me feel proud. He was like, that guy would have killed me. It's like, you know, he just couldn't believe that I would, you know, start shit with that guy, because, you know, you could tell by looking at the guy that he was just danger personified. And yeah, that's one of my more vivid childhood memories. And I remember having a headache for days afterwards, and I'm sure I had a concussion. And I didn't see no hospital or nothing like that. My dad drove me home, and he didn't say a word to me, but he said something to the vice principal. He scared that guy, because he came in there to collect me, and he was like smiling. The fucking guy smiling to the father of this kid that just got his the shit kicked out of him, and it's just nothing but blood. My dad looked at him like that guy looked at me, that just wanted to kill me, and he looked at him and he said, "I don't think it's too goddamn funny," like that, and that shut that guy up in a hurry, you know. And then on the way home, he didn't say nothing to me, because he knew that he'd been probably in that situation before, and he didn't, you know, punish me. He didn't criticize me. He didn't even talk to me about it. We were quiet on the way home, because he knew that I was fucked up. But I didn't see no emergency room or nothing like that. I didn't get no stitches for all that stuff that went on inside my mouth. I just have like a permanent scar in there. The rest of it healed up pretty good, but that's where most of the damage was done, was on the inside of my face. But yeah, my dad had a way of looking at people like that was the end of the conversation. But that guy was an asshole, that Mr. Leahy guy. He was the vice principal. He was actually like smiling like it was no big deal and shit, you know. And it was a Catholic school, and my dad was like, I don't think it's too goddamn funny, and then that was that. That guy's face fell, and he took me home after that. So my dad wasn't all bad. He just he might have even loved me in his own way. He never told me he loved me, and um, might have even been proud of me in some way, but I never got no feedback in that kind of in that sort of direction, just because the way he grew up, he never got any of that, so he probably didn't know how to do it. My mom used to say, "Why don't you?" She used to say to him, "This is what she said: Why don't you tell your kids that you love them? Why don't you at least do that?" And he would be like, they know I love them. I go to work to feed them, don't I?" You know. And but no, my dad never told me he loved me. Um, that's actually one of the most affectionate things he ever did for me, was look at that guy like he wanted to skip rope with his intestines, and just like that guy's face just fell and turned white. That's like one of the nicer things he ever did for me. Because that guy was just enjoying me getting killed for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know why the guy hated me, or what the deal was, or if he was just a sadist or just a sicko, or what. Is Mr. Leahy, wherever you are, Mr. Leahy, if you're still alive, I hope you have some rare incurable form of cancer. And I'm sorry, but I can't forgive you. You're a very bad person, and you're lucky that my dad was in a Catholic school at the time, or things might have turned out very differently for you. Ah, what a childhood! What fun! But yeah, I had some fun times when I was a kid. It wasn't like all horror and madness and murder and all that stuff. You know, I mean, I told a story before about how my older brother shot somebody, and he didn't think it was any big deal. You know, and that's a repeat. I don't like to repeat my stories on here. And then I have stories about um, yeah, they would just let us fight. They didn't really. That was just something that we did. So my mom didn't want us to fight because she had, I don't know, sense. But my older brother and my dad, they were just like, yeah, they'll work it out. They didn't give a damn about no hospital bills or nothing like that. And my younger brother, man, he could hit like he could punch like nobody's business. He's the guy that I'm sure I told that story before, but he punched somebody so hard from a sitting position that they were sitting. He was in the back seat of the car, and they were behind the wheel, and he punched them so hard that their head ricocheted off the driver's side window because it was cold outside. And then he got outside and started screaming to the guy that he wasn't done. And that guy didn't even know where he was. And if you understand boxing or how to throw a punch, use your hip, you turn, you use your body mechanics. That guy could hit somebody that hard. My brother could hit somebody that hard from a sitting position to where they didn't know who the hell they were. And that's my younger brother. But anyways, he's also the guy, and I don't know. I don't think he'd be ashamed of me of these stories or whatever. But he had a guy that was picking on him in school or bothering him in school or whatever. I'm sure I told this one before, but this one amuses me just because of the Joe Pesci nature of it. Um, where he waited until the hallway was like, he waited by this guy's locker. He left class. He said he had to leave class early to go to the bathroom, but he waited by this guy's locker, and then he waited for the bell to ring and then the hall to be full of people, and he made sure the guy didn't see him, and he waited for him to stick his head inside the locker to get his books, and then he just grabbed the locker's door and grabbed him by the back of his shirt and just banged his head like Joe Pesci in Raging Bull with the guy's locker over and over again on the guy's head, and then just let him drop to the ground and then just walked away. And nobody even knew about it or knew what happened. And I'm pretty sure I told that one before, but I was like, that is why I don't mess with my younger brother. He also punched a pretty tough guy. And I saw this. I witnessed this. He punched him so hard that the guy flew over top of a couch that was pulled away from the wall, knocked over the couch, and it dislocated the guy's jaw. And he had to pop his own jaw back into place. And this guy later on, he got beat up by bouncers, and he said he's never been hit that hard. But he got beat up by a guy with brass knuckles, and he said that tore his face up. But he said that nobody's ever hit him harder than my younger brother hit him. He said nobody. So anyway, this is me rambling for an hour, and not unexpected. I probably said at the beginning of the video that I was just going to report that this is my 100-hour chip for being off of XANAX and just being on volume, and yeah, and my voice is kind of going on me anyway. But I always feel obligated to tell you some interesting morbid stories, which I have a bunch of, and I probably repeated a couple of there. But so I ask your forgiveness if nobody likes repeats. But yeah, some of that stuff, like I'm pretty sure I told the one before about him punching the guy in the car and the whole locker business. Where he just like, man, that's some Joe Pesci shit right there, right out of Raging Bull, where he was slamming the guy's head in the car door. He just waited for that guy to lean toward open his locker door, and he just grabbed him by the back of his shirt and put his head in the locker, and then Joe Pesci'd him until he was unconscious and just left him. And yeah, it's just that kind of stuff, it's horrifying to other people, and I don't approve of violence myself. I'm a very peaceful person. I'm such a peaceful person that I had a mouse in my house, and I'm here alone, and I'm in my bedroom, and I'm hearing like chewing noises. I'm like, what the hell is them chewing noises? And I had like TV dinner tray or something like that, that I just like ate one night and just threw on the floor like a slovenly single male might do. And this mouse was chewing at the bottom of the dried food in there, and I saw it, and I looked at it, and I was like, I don't want to really kill that mouse. I was like, I'm gonna get me one of them live mouse traps, and I'm gonna like catch him in a live mouse trap, and then turn him loose and sing "Born Free." Like I don't like killing nothing. I will kill bugs if they continue to bother me, but I won't like, if there's a fly buzzing around the room, and it's just one fly, I'm not gonna go out of my way to try to kill it. And spiders, I release spiders into the wild and shit like that. I'm not who I was when I was younger, and growing up around kind of stuff that I've been talking about. Maybe that's why I'm a pacifist, and I don't believe in violence as a solution to problems. And it can be a solution to problems, unfortunately. The people that say that violence never solved anything, they're like, yeah, wrong. Yeah, violence has solved many problems for me in the past. So it's just not a good thing to put out there in the world, because like if I was a different kind of person, that beating that the guy put on me, I might have turned evil and done that to somebody else, and that had that whole domino effect thing of like the whole butterfly effect thing. But I'm not like that at all. And Yep, as usual, it's just me rambling. There's no through line here. Just me trying to be entertaining, talking my old man talk with my hat that doesn't quite fit. Right? And feeling very gangsterish. Like, I don't think gangsters wear white hats though. But I wanted to buy a white hat with a black band on it because I bought a tuxedo shirt, which it looks like you're wearing a tuxedo, but it's just a long sleeve shirt. And I'm gonna make videos where not these kind of videos where I'm just like bullshit with y'all, but videos where I'm actually trying to present some stuff that I've studied and learned about. And I was well, I hate shirts. Obviously, shirts aren't the enemy, but yeah, I'll dress up for these little shorter presentations that are not an hour and 5 minutes like this. They'll be more like 15 minutes, and get me a nice chapeau to match my fake tuxedo shirt that I am gonna buy. Hopefully, my head gets clear enough to where I can do that. I have lots of projects that I want to do, of course, and like I said, man, I am not the kind of person that likes to sit around and watch TV and be inactive and couch potato it up. I like to create things, even if it's a bunch of nonsense and morbid stories for y'all to listen to and perhaps be mildly amused by, or horrified, depending upon your disposition. I am actually horrified by the story of the guy getting almost stung to death by hornets as by his evil older brother who locked him outside of the trailer and just dared him to go outside naked because God only knows where he got stung. But I've been attacked by hives of insects, and as I've said in other videos, you don't ever forget that. I've been attacked by 3 different hives of insects before. I got destroyed by bumblebees, and I got attacked twice by hives of yellow jacket hornets. And let me tell you something. You don't ever forget that, and it ain't like the movies, man. There ain't a pond handy for you to jump into where you can, just hide from them. You just have to run your ass off, get in a house, and swat them motherfuckers off you, and try to breathe through the pain. And the pain, oh, the pain of that is very, very intense. I'm sure these are getting to be repeat stories now, so I should probably shut up. Um, I done a lot of videos now, and the surplus of 100 of these, and you know, I'm sure I've talked about being um, tore up by hives of bees before. But the fact that somebody would do that deliberately to their brother, man, that is some evil shit there. And, he had to go to the emergency room and get some kind of shots and stuff to keep from dying. Because these aren't, they're yellow, things they call yellow jackets or the little yellow hornets, they ain't shit compared to the kind that are called blockhead hornets around here, at least in this part of the country, that are black and white, and they're much bigger. Like, I got hit in the face with one. It didn't even sting me. It just hit me in the face, just flying, and it felt like somebody hit me in the face with a pebble. And it actually felt like I got hit by a rock, and it was just a bug flying into me, and I saw it buzzing around, and it was just one of those blockhead hornets. I never been stung by one of those, but I saw people get stung by them, and I saw somebody get stung in the heel by one, and they couldn't walk from it. And I saw a kid named Joey Riffle. Love that name. But he was up in a tree laughing at us when we were kids, and he got stung by a hornet in a tree. And, most of the time when you're in a tree, the first thing you remember is to hold on. But hornets, apparently, those blockhead hornets, the big black and white ones, apparently they hurt so bad that you forget you're in a tree. Because poor Joey Riffle, uh, he forgot that he was in a tree, and he forgot to hold on, and that hornet stung his ass out of that tree, and he fell out of the tree and broke his arm, and he got stung on the leg. And later on, when I was signing his cast, I looked at the hornet sting, and it was as big as a teacup saucer on its leg, and I'm like, nah, I don't want no part of hornets. Now, the idea that somebody would unleash a whole hive of those on a naked person as a joke, yeah, that is a horrifying story to me. The other stuff's not so freaking horrifying. Even me beating up. At the time, I didn't enjoy it very much, but that's not a horrifying story to me. That's just, yeah, this is the way I grew up. I've had guns held to my head. I've been shot at. You know, I never been threatened with a knife. Once, like 3 or 4 guys tried to beat me up, and this guy tried to kick me in the balls, which was a big mistake because he tried to kick me in the balls, and I seen the kick coming, and I turned it and I caught it on the hip, and then I beat the living fuck out of that kid. And the people that were his friends that he thought he were backup, they didn't help him at all, unless they were following that old time code we used to have, like. Uh, that's on you, pal. Because, nowadays, when there's a fight, it's like, people actually brag about beating up somebody 5-on-1, 3-on-1, like gang beating up one dude. But back in the day, when people wore cool hats like this, we had this thing called honor. And if you started a fight, unless things really got crazy, it was you and him, and the crowd of people would not intervene. You know, if things got out of hand, like it did with that guy in that cafeteria hallway that was kicking me in the head, where it looked like, that guy had already had enough, then people would intervene. But, they just let you fight back in the day. So that's probably what that was about. It wasn't so much that the kid thought he had backup, it's that he was starting a fight with somebody that was better at fighting than him. And he was smart. He's smart enough to try to kick me in the balls, but I saw it coming, and I just turned sideways and caught the kick on my hip instead of the balls. And that was all she wrote for him. Wow, that's 112 minutes. I am a garrulous dude. I Yeah, but I'm just happy because I've been on XANAX for 3 years. I don't even know. Like always tell you, I don't even know when all this shit started because I just kind of fell into it by accident. You know, it wasn't like I had a doctor like a lot of y'all stories where which you tell your doctor you got some anxiety or some problems, and they're like, oh, here, take these pills, and then your doctor ends up abusing you with some freaking chemical. It wasn't like that with me. It's like I was just taking the stuff illegally because somebody was giving it to me, and then that's how I ended up developing dependency, which led to anxiety, which led to me going to an ER visit and getting some, and then my doctor finally agreeing to further dig that hole for me. So I really don't have a good timetable on this, but I'm thinking 3 years. So this is probably the first time in 3 years that I've gone. It would be like 110 hours now, but over 100 hours with no Xanax. And as you can tell, I'm as cool as a cucumber. I even got my cool hat, which I can't keep. It doesn't quite fit me because I have a gigantic head, which, yeah, I guess I could like clipper my remaining hairs and so the hat would fit. I used to think about doing this for a joke just because I'm an odd character, but just like doing like just leaving like sideburns, like, and then wearing a hat, just leaving the rest of it bald, you know, instead of having the like the almost hair up here, just like just leaving like sideburns here, and then then the hat would fit and everything, and it would look like I have hair until I had to take the hat off. That's kind of like putting a sock in your pants. Sooner or later the truth is gonna come out. Oh boy, yeah. If only y'all found yourself or found me half as amusing as I find myself, then I guess I'd be doing okay. But my voice is starting to sound like a frog, and like I said, I'm just happy. It's like finally I'm getting the help I need, and I'm not even taking as much volume as I'm supposed to be taking, and 100 hours with no XANAX, and I've never done that in 3 years. And as usual, I'm being redundant, and that is also my nature. And y'all know me by now, so y'all know what you're in for. And as I like to remind myself when I talk and talk and talk like this, is you don't even gotta listen to 5 seconds of this. So if you don't all dig the patter, that is fine. It's just another video on YouTube that you can click on and say, this isn't my cup of tea. So, I've had people tell me that my videos are too long. And you know what? They don't have to be too long. They can be 5 seconds long, because you can just click them off. But anyways, I'm not sure this hat was such a good idea to wear, but damn, white is my color. I just can't quite get it to fit, man. Maybe I'll take the clippers to my head and I'll get that thing to fit. Anyways, I will update you in a few days. If things continue to go swimmingly, I'll even pop in there. And I promise I won't do one of these marathon videos. I will just tell you, hi, this is Mr. Steve, and this is 200 hours, no XANAX. So, as always, hope you're doing better than me, and I hope you're having a good day. And I hope this was at least mildly entertaining. I'll do my best. Godspeed and goodbye.